Okay, well, good evening. Thank you guys for coming here this evening. I made myself some notes so I wouldn't forget too many things, but first of all, I want to do some welcomes and some appreciations, and we just want to start first with our city council. We don't have all of them here this evening, but I just want to at least recognize our Mayor Jessica Engelke, Council President Larry Garboden, Pat Gall, Susanna Nordoff, Ginny Jones, Barbara Schultz, and Matt Hamilton. I'd also like to recognize our city administrator, Mr. David Miller. So why are we doing this tonight? Well, we've never done it before, so we're going to do it now. A push-in ceremony is something that is traditionally kind of an East Coast thing, but we're on the West Coast and we're a little different out here ourselves. So it started years ago back in the 1800s when they would come back from a fire. What they had at that point was steamer fire engines. And so they would pull in their horses, and I don't know a lot about horses, I know people that do, but you can't back up a horse and have it push very well at all. So they would disconnect their horses, they would set their horses over beside their fire engine, and then they would push it back into the fire station. So shortly after 1900s, things kind of changed. We started getting some fire engines that actually propel themselves, they could back themselves in, and it just kind of, they say the fire service is 200 years of progress, unhampered by tradition. But our tradition is very, very proud that we have in the fire service. So what we want to do is it started up at that point back in the early 1800s when we get a new apparatus or a new piece of equipment to go ahead and push it back into the fire station in kind of honor of what it was back in the 1800s. They also do a thing where they do a washdown on it. We're going to pass on that. They haven't been on the Oregon coast either. There was a lot of hard work that went into getting this fire engine here. The first thing we did is we actually put a 3-person committee in charge of putting the things together. What we want, where we need it. Everything that we have in North Bend Fire has been a demo unit. All of our fire engines, our ladder truck, everything has been a demo. So somebody else has got it up to a certain point, and we've needed to get it in a hurry then. So we've rushed it through, and we didn't get exactly what we wanted and what we needed. So we put together a committee of Assistant Chief Brian Waddington. Yes. You'll really say yay for this one. And then we have one for Lieutenant John Lucero. And also Engineer Luke Rector. And so we gave them the charge to put together a fire engine that works for North Bend. So they went and they met with Hughes Company, which we have a representative tonight, Brock. Where you at, Brock? Right over here in the back. We actually worked with Nick most of the time, but Nick is back in Florida right now, where this was actually manufactured. And so they sent Brock down to kind of take care of it. So we gave them the charge to go ahead and put it together how we wanted it in North Bend Fire. They started doing that. They started putting it together. They came back when they got some ideas. They talked to the rest of the staff and everyone else, and they just kept developing and developing. And you'll see over here on the wall, there's some sketches, and then you'll see on our TV here the progress that we were making. These guys did a great job. I'd like to call those 3 guys to come up here, and they can tell you a little bit about how that process went, because it was really, really fantastic out of it. So once again, this is the first time we've made a fire engine that is for North Bend Fire the way we want it. So, fellas, if you want to go up here real quick.
Got to scratch out most of mine because he already mentioned it. So we started this project in April of 2021. We ordered it January 2022. That's when the council and the city administrator, they signed the piece of paper and sent it off to Hughes. This is a Pierce fire engine manufactured in Brenington, Florida. And then Hughes Fire Equipment up in Eugene is the sales company. That's the company that we used, which makes it really nice because it's a Pierce fire engine. We can take it 2 hours away instead of 3, 4, 5, 6 hours away to get worked on if it needs to be worked on. So they've been a great asset to work with. This engine is a Sabre cab, and then it has a Cummins L9 engine in it. It's 750 gallons. It's a 1,500 gallon per minute pump in it. It has 20 gallon foam cell in it, and then obviously all the equipment that's in it also. So But it's been a great project. From not knowing exactly what we wanted, we have pictures. I have a binder over there that has a bunch of pictures in it, just off the website. This one looks really nice. This one's really nice. Now, how can we combine it to what we can afford and make it reasonable for the citizens of North Bend? And we came up with that. It was a great process for all of us to be part of, to design something from nothing to this. So what a process it was. It was great. A lot of ideas from, you know, a turn signal, windshield wiper on the steering column that we kind of got rid of, to, you know, different ideas. But it's amazing what we came up with, and we're excited to drive it. So, you know, but I'll turn it over to these guys. I'll be done talking. So appreciate you guys coming out.
For me, quickly, the three of us were going to go back to Florida to do the final inspection on it. And my son got hired at Tuesday Fire, so his pinning there was the same exact day that we were all three going back there. So I had to miss the trip to Florida to see it back there. But what I was doing was pretty cool too, so that was good. Designing it was really fun, but since it's been here for a week and a half, 2 weeks now, putting all the stuff on it was really fun. We got to put it on just how we wanted it, exactly where we wanted it. This has just been a really unique project for us from the very start to today, where we get to push it back and drive it out on the next call. So very exciting for all of us and for our community. So pretty cool.
Yeah, just elaborate a little bit on that, and also what Brian said, but having things exactly where we want them and where we think we need them for our particular fire department, because we're maybe a little bit unique to other fire departments. We're a very small department. We kind of have to be able to do all things on the fire ground, where the big cities, pretty much one guy's got a job and that's what they do on a lot of them. So a couple things that are unique to this fire engine, front intake, which probably not everybody knows what that is, but that's where we can hook up to a fire hydrant, and most departments only have them on the sides, and I'm not sure why that is. It just seems so unique. And then I showed my daughter, we have kitty litter on here, a kitty litter compartment on here, and that's for car wrecks to like soak up, you know, the fluids from that. And then one thing that's also very, I guess, unique is when Brian and I were in Florida, we didn't see any other fire apparatus being built that had these. I call it the clean cab compartment, but we basically will put our turnout gear in here, and that way we won't have our dirty turnouts in the cab with us, where we're breathing the nasty carcinogens and stuff. So that's just some of the highlights on there that I really like, and we were able to kind of build into our apparatus.
All right, that's it.
Great job. So I've got a big spiel about some other things, but as I was talking to a council member that's going to speak here, he said most of the things that I was going to say on that he'd like to expound on. So at this time what we'll do is we were going to have our mayor come forward, but she's off on vacation. And so in her place we're going to have Councilman Pat Gall come up. Councilman Gall was a volunteer fireman here, volunteer captain for 19 years at North Bend Fire. He's went on to be on the council, obviously, and just like all the rest of the council, they're great supporters of the fire department. But we'll just give Pat a little chance to talk, actually, and speak for the council real quick. So
yeah, thanks, Brown. And this truck really is neat. You know, I've walked around it. How handy they've got everything set up. I want to say that I was a fairly aggressive fireman when I was in there. I was 19 years old, so I was in a little better shape. But with these pre-connects that you take to attack a quick fire used to be way up here and stuff, and they've made this truck so handy on all this aspects. It's really a nice truck, and you know, we used to have to ride the tailboard. You know, now they've got cab getting bigger than my pickup. So anyway, they've done a really nice job fitting this out, and we as a council and David as staff, let's just say the North Bend City staff, took a really good look at this. We've had a program for years where we put a certain certain amount of money into an account to replace fire engines. It got to be the point where inflation was going so nuts, big time nuts, that we all sat down and talked and said, hey, I think down the road we could save money if we, you know, sped up our replacement fund to buy this truck. So we took the ball and kind of did some math, and I remember Jim came to the council and said, you know, the costs are going up, you know, and he estimated that it would be maybe $60,000 more than when we bought it, when we signed the line, that it would be $60,000-$70,000 more if we go to when we were gonna buy it. And I bet him a half rack of pop that it would be more than 60 or 70 bucks, thousand. And come to find out, we received this truck a week ago, and Coos Bay, Marshfield, ordered one, and Jim was just telling me that almost the sister of this truck is going to be $200,000 more than what we paid for this, just in that time frame alone. So I think that the city, the taxpayers, I hope they understand why we did what we did. It's a major asset to the city. I think with the staff coming to us and saying this is what we ought to do, it's totally made sense to me. Like I said, with my history, I'm probably more supportive to the fire department than Ralph's sewer department or something like that. But anyway, I want to thank you for letting me speak, Jim, because I think this is a great asset to the city. David, nice job putting some of this together for us, and I'm out of here.
Councilman Gall is always a tough act to follow. So the push-in ceremony, we really want to have as many people involved as we can. The community members, I know we have our insurance agent of record here this evening as well. We have community members, we have our fire departments, we have our council representatives. And so what we're going to do is, I'm going to throw one more little curveball here when we push this in. Don't get too wild and crazy. Don't want to push it out the back door or anything. We've had some mixed emotions on whether or not we can push this thing without having it running in reverse. According to Mike Lucero, we got no problem. We can do it, right?
Take it out of park.
And so we've also just recently been able to have a new hire for the fire department, which is Jordan Osborne. So I'd like to actually give him the privilege of being able to sit in the seat and actually back this thing up.
I'll take off.
You don't push it when you all the way in. Jordan? Well, they ain't taking off.
Help? Go help. Go push Uncle Mark. Go push Uncle Mark.
Are you kidding me?
Help, Brody.